This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
Bitcoin,
inflation,
budgets,
To avoid a recession.
interest rates,
AAA credit ratings.
pineapples.
Hello, welcome back to Money, Faith and Finance. I'm Ben McKecken from Hope Mornings. You would be Pete Burrows.
I am 100%.
Yeah, you are, yes.
Yeah, I am, yeah, sorry.
It was almost like you needed a clarifying statement.
I'm 98%
Or you wanted
Pete
me to
Burrows.
agree with you, or...
Yeah.
Okay, sure. You're not 95,
No,
not 70?
I am Joe 100%.
Great. You're Pete Burrows from Lower Russell and Far at Penrith, accountant with small businesses and individuals. And my goodness me, have we got an episode for you where we're going to talk about should adult kids be charged board? Because Joni here at Hope, one of our colleagues, we're having a chat the other day, and she said, can you and Pete please talk about, so here's the question, Pete, let me say it again very clearly, should you charge your adult kids board?
Yes, Queen.
I'm not sure why, I don't know why I got angry and I don't know why you did that. So the answer is
Because
yes.
she's female. I said, yes, Queen. Yeah. 100% you should.
Okay, but why then are we even asking the question? Or why has Joni asked the question? Or I've heard lots of other parents ask the question, and I've seen plenty of articles and the like swirling around on the interwebs. Why isn't it just then, like when I was growing up, it definitely seemed like...
Yeah, my mum got the memo. She was happy to charge me board when I
My
got a job.
parents
Yeah.
weren't...
Those 80s parents were tough, man. They're like, there you go.
They
There's your
weren't
board.
equivocating. Like that
Yeah.
was just, that's how it is, my friend, because you now have a job and you now have reached adult land and you're still at home. And so you're
Welcome
going
to
have
adulthood. Here's a
pay
bill.
some of this.
Yeah.
And board's just a polite word for rent. So what is going on now, do you think?
Well, look, it should be a live question for each family. I think if they charge board, I guess the question is why and what do you want it to represent? You know, is it just a live, we need money to run this family and if you live here, we need your money? Or is it more about while you're here, we're trying to teach you a lesson?
If you live here, we need your money. I hope
There's a
that is-
bumper sticker in there somewhere.
I hope that is not your relationship with your parent or as a parent to your child. We
don't need all your money,
because-
just a percentage.
Okay, so park that for one
Yeah.
side. If that's not where a
You
parent's
need to
at,
contribute to the costs of having you here. We're trying to teach you how to be, all seriousness, we're trying to prepare you for adulthood. And in adulthood, spoiler alert, you're going to cop 100% of the costs of living. What we're trying to do is to say, while you're here, and if you're able to, and if we decide it's important enough, you need to pay a percentage of those costs, whether it's a fixed amount per week or a percentage of your income. It's practice for being a proper adult. That's what it is. That's what board is.
which it can sound a little bit harsh and almost a bit condescending. So as I try to back up on that, because I'm definitely of a similar mind, and I think some of that is growing up in a situation where that's just how
That's
it
what
was.
you did. Yeah.
Things have changed significantly since we were living at home as late teens, early 20s.
Yep.
Fast forward a couple of decades, and in Australia, not nearly as easy for kids across the spectrum of financial household income to move out,
move out and
as
have a share
easily
house
and readily, to
experience
save
somewhere.
up to move out.
Yeah.
That's not the same as when we were saving up to move out.
Yeah, look, I think I've definitely seen that amongst friends and clients is I think adult kids are probably at home for longer. So if they move out, rent could maybe take 30 to 50% of their pay. They may be partnering in life a little bit later. They may have partnered and come back to home. So I think there's reasons why adult kids are at home longer. And I think the question there is they're developing their skills, their careers, they might be making more money. Shouldn't they, in a sense, contribute to the cost of the house? And I think the answer is yes, but I think it's a conversation that families are perhaps reluctant or it's a little bit awkward, to
Before
talk
we get
about
onto
money.
the awkwardness of that, the figure that you just raised, I think has been around a bit in the past year or two, of the 30% that you said of income paying on rent.
To get the median rental, yeah.
And I'm not sure if that was the case when I was first moving out of home. I don't think it was as high, that ratio. Am I remembering that rightly?
I think yes. I think you are remembering it correctly.
So the amount was small, the actual amount, like whatever we're paying per week. When I was living with my brother and a mate in this little flat just outside Adelaide, I think we were paying maybe $50 a week for a room in this small but cool 3-bedroom.
It's Adelaide, of course.
Of course. Apartment that was red brick and kind of old, but man, that was a cheap deal even at the time. So I can't remember exactly what I was earning, but the percentage not nearly close to 30%, I don't think.
Yes, so I think now to move out and have that same sort of ratio, your income would need to be a lot higher or you'd need to be just paying a lot more in rent. So I think the problem is people aren't paying that, but they're not paying anything like that to remain at home where they get access to food, water, a bed, internet, streaming services,
And when you're confronted as a late
Banter
teen,
with their parents, like, come on, and siblings.
plus, if you're in your late teens or in your early 20s or now into your early 30s and trying to save a house deposit and move out, trying to get that money together now, as we've talked about on past episodes of Money, Faith and Finance around housing affordability, much tougher to accrue that amount than what it was back when we were doing the same thing.
It's tougher, which justifies staying at home longer. The question is, are you building habits and saving and putting the money away, or are you just living your best life and spending your money on what you want? And the question is, should your parents, who are probably moving to a stage of, their debts are paid down, they're starting to think about retirement and maybe winding back their work and their responsibilities, do they need to fund that lifestyle? So there's probably a little bit of tension in most families of, one lot moving more towards retirement, one lot ramping up their lives. Who pays for these costs? And I think that's a conversation that, families don't often have until they really have to.
We're heading towards what you think families, parents, caregivers, their adult kids should consider when talking about paying rent or not, as the case may be. You mentioned before that you think the conversations become awkward. Hasn't it always been awkward? I guess it wasn't. Actually, with my parents, it wasn't awkward at all. It's like, mate, you're staying here? Great. You can pay us some money. Thanks very much. Maybe
we left home earlier. Like, I do see how close parents are to their kids in this generation and think perhaps our kids are almost like friends, or we have a much more friendly relationship with our kids maybe than our parents did. They still loved us, but it looks a bit different with this generation. And I wonder whether or not are you less likely to ask your friend for money. So I think perhaps you're closer to them, but it might also mean the conversation about board and contributing is we do feel a bit sorry maybe for the world that we're leaving them and the cost of living once they leave our doors. So we tend to be a bit more reluctant to maybe ask them for money. Maybe that's what's changed.
Let us know how you're going with this in your household. Wherever you're streaming this or listening to this, let us know in the comments or in the Facebook group, Money, Faith and Finance. Would be great to hear your real world accounts of the struggles, the joys of tackling with adult kids, how much to contribute at home, particularly financially.
Yep.
Pete, I think you're right that parenting, it's definitely changed from generation to generation, and the world we're in now, I reckon the backdrop is definitely a whole bunch of things, including sorry about the world we handed you, as you just said. And also our parenting has shifted to being more side by side.
Yeah, that's
with all of that in mind, as you approach this conversation, because we also should be pointing out, which is the obvious, right, that you're wearing the cost of everybody being at home if those who are in the household, those others aren't contributing themselves. So if you need that contribution, no, not even if you need.
If you request
that, if you think it's the right thing to do, what are the considerations in those conversations?
Look, a couple of things I think you've got to think about is the logistics of, do I want a flat dollar per week, like we talked about paying our parents in the 80s or 90s probably in your case? Is it a flat dollar per week, or is it maybe a percentage of your income? Percentage of income probably makes more sense if they're on a smaller income. Another consideration is...
How do you work out that percentage?
Look, I think it needs to be enough to hurt, but not enough to send them broke. So, it could be 10%. It could be 20%. I think it needs to be enough that it's a meaningful contribution, but still leaves them enough money.
Also in line with other ratios of saving, for example, and discretionary spending and how much you're paying for that streaming service or that gym membership or whatever it might be, like taking into account other life factors, not just here's a straight up 30, 40%.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be that kind of charge, but I think it needs to be something reflective of their income, because you do need to think about what stage of life are these kids at when I'm asking them for board. So like say with our adult kids, we've said, look, while you're at uni and not working full time, there's no need for board. But when you finish that degree, if you're working full time, you are paying board.
Yeah, that's
so
what
there's a sense of supporting them through university and full-time study, because that means you generally can't make a full-time wage. So, that would be my approach. Other people might have something different.
Before we move on to other considerations though, but mentioning that if on average it's 30% now of income that goes towards rent, shouldn't then parents be asking for 30% somewhat to teach that you're heading into the real world real soon? You are going to have to pay this at some point.
It's not a bad idea. I mean, they're going to pay 100% of the cost, so somewhere above zero would be good.
Yes.
The 30%, I would argue, is a bit steep, but I have had a couple of clients and friends do a thing where they might have taken a flat amount or 30% and they might have said, look, some of it covers costs, but some of it goes into a bit of a future fund, just like Australia's got a future fund. We might have a family future fund that comes back to you when you move out or get married or wanted a house.
Yeah, because you can show some generosity of spirit as parents and caregivers towards your kids as you're thinking about, well, what they're contributing to the household. In this example, rent, board. Yeah. But within rent and board at home, it can be all expenses paid.
Yep.
So you're not contributing to the electricity or gas bill or whatever it might be. You're not necessarily even paying for the streaming services that you're using, even though, as you just said, when you move out and get on your own, you are 100% accountable for all of those things. It's a pretty sweet deal when you're at home.
Look, it is. And I think the problem is you probably need to give them the runway into it. Whereas if you sort of say, we're down here cruising along paying zero, but one day here it's 100%, and probably off the cliff really is a better metaphor. You're paying 100%. Well, really, we need to start ramping them up to say, pay your own phone, run your own car, pay your own insurance, like pay your own clothes when you want to buy them. Like we need to start getting them on that track before they get to paying 100% because they're not going to be ready for it.
I'm quite staggered sometimes in conversations with friends or overhearing people talking about their adult kids and they're still paying for their phone, for example, and their adult child is working. Like, what?
Depends,
with all consideration and me trying to be sensitive and all that sort of stuff, but you can hear the tone in my voice. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Why are they not already paying for that themselves? That is their device. They're an adult. They're working.
Yeah.
Why are you still paying for it? When before all of that situation, when they're at high school or whatever, it makes total sense to me. If they're doing a part-time job and they're getting 50 or 100, 150 bucks a week, fair enough that they can't pay for all these things. But when you're in a position where you're starting to earn much more significant money, that will float you into real life when you're in real life.
Yeah.
When you move out of home, if you do
into
that.
the harsh reality.
The harsh reality of paying for everything yourself.
Yeah. The studio lights, the glare.
Yeah, I don't totally understand the thinking of, well, I'll keep paying for these things for them. It's a nice thing to do.
It's a Look, it's a buffer, I guess, too. Like we pay phone costs for our kids, but we're on a family plan. I administer it. I'm the accountant.
Okay, that
so we
makes
get
sense.
a data plan. It's shared.
Yeah.
It's all together. It's a moderate cost. They break off and run the phone themselves. Probably going to cost them more. So while we're all together under the one roof, the data plan and the shared, internet and phone makes sense financially.
But back to your considerations, and I should pull my head in a little bit because even as you've given that example, it points back to families in all sorts of situations. You may be in a position to be able to continue to pay for your kids, whatever it might be, your adult kids at home, but you have at least had a conversation about all of those things, including preparing them for the time when, if they do move out renting or buying, so that they know there is coming a day where you are going to have to foot the bill for all of these things.
And look, I think they know it's coming. I think kids are probably smart enough these days to go, well, I'll just lay low and not say anything. Of course I'm going to cop those costs one day, but am I going to voluntarily do it? And to be fair, some kids may do more than others. Some kids may say, I don't make much for my job, but I pay my way by doing chores over and above what a family would normally expect. So they may contribute to their house in other ways. They may cook several meals per week. They may do cleaning that's over and above what's expected. So contributions can look different. I do think in this day and age, cost of living, money talks is probably financial contributions from kids who are working goes a long way to paying the bills.
Do you reckon if it's a Christian household, the parents should just come in with honour your father and mother?
Okay, I like it. Just
drop some 10 Commandments in there?
Yep.
And say, not just 10 Commandments, that's in Ephesians chapter 5.
Yeah, it's like, it's not me, it's God.
That's Old Testament, that's New Testament. That's like, this is the way that households go, relationships go. And I hope that you are parents who are full of the sorts of things that your kids should and can honour. If that's the case, do you just drop a whole world of honour your father and mother?
Yeah.
So where's the board?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Show me the money. It's in the book.
We're going to get to that soon. Do you think, are you advocating for that as a position of discussing with your kids board?
I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think each family might have a stronger view on that than others. I do think we need a bit more transparency around finances. So I don't think every time I tell my kids something about money, I'm surprised by how surprised they are by things like what things cost, what a house costs, what we make. I realise, well, if you don't talk about it, these kids don't know what you make. They just think everything's kind of paid for and, you bought your house for 5 cents and that's what, you've got all the money you ever made. So I do think we need a bit more transparency and accountability and talking about finances because then I think kids would understand. If they knew our grocery bill every week, they would probably go, oh, geez, that is a lot.
So you have been intentionally for I don't know how long talking about your kids with this. in what? In something of a bid to prepare them?
I think, look, probably, I mean, it's do as I say, not as I do. I probably haven't been saying that with them as much as I probably would have liked to, because ironically, for someone that spends all day talking about money and seeing other people's finances, I don't tend to want to do it when I go home. But I know that it works. You don't get any better about money by not talking about it. So I think there is something to be said for doing it. And I know as they get older and do get into the real world, we're going to have those discussions.
That kind of approach, though, I think is a great falling out from the Bible talking about honouring your father and mother. If you are a father and mother that's worthy of honour, I hope that you are, you wouldn't just lay that down. Instead, you go, okay, well, in these relationships we have in our household, from that position, you would be then doing what you could to help your kids to get on with life and do whatever they're going to do, financially speaking, because you are someone who's worthy of honor and respect in the position you have, in the influential role that you have in their life. And oftentimes I think we can forget in Ephesians chapter 5, just after it quotes that 10 commandment, it also says, fathers, don't exasperate your children.
Yeah.
I can often put that to one side as I'm joking with my daughters about this hilarious stuff that you should see the look that they have on their face. You've probably seen it.
I've had 3 of them. I know the look.
Oh, man. Right. That was enough about me.
Yeah, I know.
Before we get to Show Me the Money, what do you think kids should do, adult kids should do, to prepare themselves for this kind of conversation? Maybe the conversation has not happened in the household about paying board, and the parents, the caregivers are heading to, all right, Monday night, we're going to have this family discussion.
Money,
Show me the money. Be a bit more nuanced than that.
Yeah.
What should adult kids do to prepare themselves?
They need to perhaps understand the cost of things, and they need to do their own budgets. So they need to understand their own finances to say, well, if I make $200 a week in my part-time job at the moment, I'm 100% spending that on discretionary spending unless I'm saving. So if mum and dad ask me for 10% of that, which is $20 a week, very reasonable amount, doesn't go close to covering the cost of having you there. If mum and dad ask me for that $20 a week, I need to get my head around the fact I can't spend that. I need to pay it to mum and dad. So I think they need to prepare themselves to say, I've now got a bill. Now, it's for things I've already enjoyed, but I need to start paying that bill. So it's basically getting a teaspoon of cement, really. That's a technical description, yeah.
You're serious about every adult kid budgeting?
I don't think they do.
No, but you think that they should.
Yeah, I see what my kids make in part-time jobs and go, Australia pays pretty well. If you work hard, you can actually make a decent amount in a part-time job. So the danger is if you just kind of spend the money and don't have some going to investments or future saving or deferred consumption, you could just get used to spending it all. There's a heap of things. There's an unlimited amount of things for people to spend their money on. So if kids don't go, well, hang on a sec, I'm making $300 a week. Why don't I budget to go, I'm still living at home. Mum and dad get 10% of it. $30 a week, it's nothing. It's not the cost of having you. That's way more than that. So what's $30 a week?
Okay, Pete, as you said to your kids, show me the money.
I think show me the money is, if you don't pay board, one day you're going to have to go from 0 to 100% of life costs. So guess what? Something above 0 and less than 100% while you're at home is a bargain. You should pay your parents' board if they ask for it.
But we're also speaking there, obviously, to the parents and the caregivers as well, that they also should surely recognise that their adult kids will get to that point where they go from 0 to 100%.
They will.
It's therefore not just on the kids to work that out.
It's on the parents, really. I guess it's on the homeowners, the mum and dad, that deserve the honour. It's on, I guess, the runners of the house and the payers of the bills to say, guys, there's bills, there's a cost, we're all living here. If we all make income, how can we contribute to the best running of the house and what's fair?
Very grateful to Joni for bringing that conversation,
Great
that question to
Joni.
us. Should your adult kids pay board? If you've got all sorts of questions, we would love to hear them. Input, feedback, pushback, whatever it might be. On this, maybe you don't want to charge your adult kids board. Let us know. We would love to share it on an upcoming episode. You can put that in the comments wherever you're at, on whatever platform you're on. Head to the Facebook group, Money, Faith and Finance. If you're not a member already, well, then just do that simple thing of join up and just fire off your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Get involved in all the conversations that are happening there all the time about this sort of stuff and wherever faith and finance are happening in households all around the place. It's such a lot of fun to get involved with you and hearing about what exactly is happening in households. Because, Pete, here in the Money, Faith and Finance ivory tower, sometimes we just don't know what the people
We don't know what the real people are. The little people out there are doing. What are they doing?
What I just said isn't true. We're part of the people.
Part of the people.
Joni came and approached me in real life.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and asked me this question, which if you see me in real life, please do the same thing. If not, just let us know at hopepodcast.com.au. Get in touch with the Money, Faith and Finance team or wherever you like. Oh, star rate, that'd be a great thing. Share the episodes because we would love to get the love of money, faith
Sharing
and
is
finance.
caring.
Sharing is caring. Living is giving. And all the things that these episodes contain, we would love to get the message out there to help people with their faith and finance. Pete Burrows, thank you very much. Worthy of honour as always.
you.
You are an accountant with small businesses and individuals with Lower Russell and Far
True
at
that.
Penrith in Western Sydney. And I'm just Ben McKecken from Hope
You're not
Mornings.
just Ben McKecken.
No, I am
You're
just
Ben McKecken, morning presenter at Hope, man about town, raconteur, father, husband.
I'm just Ben McKecken. I'll see you next time.
This podcast is for general information only and is not investment or financial advice. It is not specific to you, your needs, goals, and objectives. Before making any financial decisions, do your own research and speak with your financial advisor. Thank you for listening to Money with Ben and Pete.
Hope 1032. Thanks for listening.